I'm the chief of police for Atlanta Public Schools. The Atlanta Public Schools decided to create their own police department in 2016. The previous police department they had a contract with the city's police department. The district felt like they wanted to have a police force that was in line with the plans and the programs that the school system wanted to have. So they created their own police department. We started in 2016. I started in April. We hired about 67 police officers. They were all had previous years of experience just in various areas, some with former school systems, some were previous police departments in the previous city police departments in the metro area of Atlanta. We got those guys on board and took over July 1st and started. So all of our officers, when they come on, even now when they come on board, they get trained in restorative practices and crisis intervention, mental health first aid, social emotional learning. So we included some of the things, use of force. Of course, that's stuff that we have. Use of force, less lethal options, but we also focus on some things that help them to deal with our student population. We operate under the Triad Method. That's the officer as an officer, as a mentor, and as an educator. A majority of our officers are trained by NASRO, National Association of School Resource Officers. We bought into that method, the Triad Method. We spend less time the role of an officer and more time in the role as mentors and educators. We focus a lot on those two parts of the triad. The law enforcement side, that's what we do every day. We can do that anytime. But the mentoring and the education are very important. And that's where all of the training and restorative practices and social emotional learning, crisis intervention, all those things come into play when we're interacting with our students. So we're student focused. But at the same time, we can switch gears and become law enforcement officers. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to take steps as law enforcement officers to deal with some of our students. But for the most part, we do a lot of functioning as mentors and educators. Wow, the results of implementing these practices have been very immense. I would say that. Our first year on board, we reduced the number of students charged with a crime in half. And some people will say, well, you're just ignoring things or you're sweeping things under the rug. No, what we've done instead was find other ways to deal with that. And we're constantly looking at ways to reduce those kids who have been introduced to the criminal justice system, to try to find something different for them. But one thing that we do here at Atlanta Public Schools is when they decide that they're going to charge someone, I have a supervisor to make sure that they look at that carefully. And if there's other ways to deal with this student, that sergeant will have that conversation with the officer, and they'll come to an agreement as to what's the most appropriate thing to be done for those students. Unfortunately, some students do get charged. There's not a whole lot we can do about that, but we try to do like educational things, like talking to kids about what are some of the things that could get you in trouble and what are the consequences of those things. A lot of our students don't know that. So we've taken time out to actually, on the educational side of the triad, trying to educate students about the issues involved around some of the things that they do that they think is not as serious, that could be something that can impact them for the rest of their lives. We're having to make some changes. We're having to make some shifts in what we do and how we respond to our students. So that means welfare checks, home visits. We're also feeding our students. We do food deliveries on Monday. About 30 to 50,000 students, provide them meals for the entire week. So we're working with our transportation department, our food service department. We're working with them closely to try to make sure that we get our kids fed for the week. Number one, I would say that the children are our future, and we have to really think about how we impact them today, whether we're motivating them or we're going to police them and turn them into criminals later on down the line. We have to be willing to change. As police officers, we have to be willing to make adjustments and make a change. We can't continue to police like we do. We have to make adjustments. We've always adjusted over the years. Now is a time for us to do that. So when we're dealing with just people in general, not just students, I think we need to look at things a little bit differently than the way we have so far. We have to be willing to change. We have to focus on not the tools around our belt, but the tools in our heads. We have to give officers more options outside of, they have enough tasers, we have guns, we have aspartans, we have OC, but what do we have up here? What are we giving officers up here to deal with situations? And I feel like we're really missing an opportunity to connect with our public by not focusing on those tools here, by placing more focus on the tools around our belt than we do to focus on the tools in our heads. I would definitely seek out the International Institute of Restorative Practices, NAMI, NASRO. Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police has also been a good source. International Association of Chiefs of Police have been a good source. So those are some I could definitely recommend.